Okay, so if you're looking for maybe a faster way to grasp a different view on finance, you're in the right spot. Today, we're doing a deep dive into Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, the classic.
Our goal here is pretty simple. Quickly pull out the main ideas, those core insights that show the big difference between two ways of thinking about money, education, and, well, building wealth.
And what makes it so compelling, I think, is how Kiyosaki sets it up. He uses these two father figures, right?
Right.
His actual dad, the poor dad, highly educated, worked for the government, but, struggled financially. And then his best friend's dad, the rich dad, a businessman, less formal schooling, but became really successful, made money work for him. It's a really stark comparison of mindsets, almost provocative.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that contrast, it just jumps right into his first big lesson, maybe the most challenging one.
Mm.
The rich don't actually work for money.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of goes against everything many of us learn, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Instead of just, trading hours for dollars.
Right, the typical paycheck grind.
Exactly. The wealthy focus on building systems, making money work for them.
Precisely. It's about structuring things so your income isn't just tied to you clocking in and out. The focus shifts completely
To what specifically?
to building assets, things that generate passive income, money that keeps coming in even if you're not actively working at that moment.
Like rental income
Yeah.
or dividends.
Exactly like that. Rental properties, stocks, maybe a business you own but don't run day to day. And this really highlights a gap. Traditional education often just skips this part. Schools rarely teach the mechanics of how money really works.
Okay, so if financial education is that critical, what should we actually be learning? Because clearly it's not just about acing exams.
No, not at all. The book really hammers on understanding things like financial statements, knowing your number.
Profit and loss,
Mm,
balance sheets, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and investing fundamentals, how taxes work or how they can work for you, and crucially, the difference between an asset and a liability. Which, that brings us to another really memorable point Kiyosaki makes.
Ah, yes. Buy assets, not liabilities. And this is where he can seem pretty radical, right?
Yeah.
Challenging the idea that your big house or fancy car is automatically an asset.
Totally. For him, it's simple, almost blunt. An asset puts money in your pocket, period. Think of a rental property bringing in monthly cash flow.
Okay.
A liability takes money out of your pocket. That car payment, the insurance, the upkeep on a huge house that you just live in, it's draining resources.
Generating income.
Right. It's a fundamental reframe. It shifts the goal from looking wealthy to actually being wealthy by owning things that pay you.
That's a huge mental shift for a lot of people, especially since, home ownership is often pitched as the ultimate asset. So, okay, beyond just defining assets versus liabilities, how does he suggest we actually do this?
Well, it flows right into his message of mind your own business. Basically, work your day job, sure, but focus your energy on building your own asset column, your own ventures.
Not just climbing the ladder at someone else's company.
Exactly. Don't just work for your employer's business. Mind your business. And a big part of that is overcoming fear. Fear of losing money, fear of making mistakes.
Which is tough. Nobody likes losing money.
Of course not. But Kiyosaki argues that smart risk-taking, where you actually learn from the inevitable bumps, that's how you build real financial intelligence and wealth. It's very different from the poor dad's emphasis on, say, job security above all else.
Which connects to that other idea. Work to learn, not just to earn. It's
Ah.
not only about the size of the paycheck right now.
Precisely. It's about strategically picking jobs or projects where you can acquire valuable skills. Things like sales, marketing, understanding deals, how investments work.
Skills that build your financial IQ.
Yes. He saw his poor dad trapped, always working for money. His rich dad, meanwhile, was constantly learning, acquiring skills that increased his capacity to create wealth. In the long run, those skills are far more valuable than just a salary.
So wrapping this up then, what does this deep dive really mean for you, the listener? It highlights this fundamental choice, doesn't it? Between just working for money, punching that clock, and cultivating a mindset where your money starts working for you. It's a big shift. Moving from being primarily an employee chasing the next paycheck to becoming an investor or an entrepreneur who makes money generate more money.
Yeah, and the bottom line really isn't just about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep and how effectively you make that money grow.
A powerful distinction.
So, considering these insights from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, some quite counterintuitive, what's maybe one small concrete step you could take, perhaps even today, to start shifting your financial mindset? How can you begin building assets and making your money work just a little bit harder for you?